Hi, I'm Denise Ortiz of Mind Body Healing Biz. Thank you so much for joining us today. You must have heard about hypnosis somewhere along the line. You've heard about hypnosis, but most people don't know what it's all about, what it can do for you, how it can help you with your body, mind, and soul. And there's so many things in a spiritual aspect that can be done with hypnosis, and I can't wait for you to hear my guest, Katherine Zimmerman, to talk about that. But for those of us who may have been joining for the first time, I just wanted to let you know a little bit about what we do here on the podcast. I do my best to bring in a variety of speakers to tell you about different hints or tips or different modalities or protocols that you can use to help get through these crazy times. Now, while the world may seem very chaotic, more days than we'd like it to be, there's also a way that you can find a very deep peace because things are changing and they're changing for the better. So, learning to keep our focus on that instead of what's wrong, think about what's right or what can be so much better. And holding on to a positive energy that we can hold in our hearts and our mind, and then just let that span out from us. Let it span out into the universe so everyone else can feel the good, positive energy that we have within each one of us. And most of all, if you're not sure how to do some of these things, just try laughing. Put on a good comedy, watch a show, just have fun with friends, play games, and have laughter as part of your everyday life. And if you'd like to go deeper into what you can do with hypnosis, this is something you should be interested in. Now, there's many myths about hypnosis, which I won't bother going into now because hypnosis can do so many wonderful things for us. And I have Katherine Zimmerman here today. She is from Trance Time. She is a certified clinical hypnotherapist, a Reiki Master, EFT Practitioner, a director of the California Hypnotherapy Academy. Now, she's been in private practice since 1989. She teaches hypnosis and like subjects at conferences nationwide and has authored numerous hypnosis manuals. She's an internationally known author and speaker, and she has served with a lot of the top hypnosis organizations. You can check out her website. All of her information will be at the end of this video, but it's transtime.com. Now, if you're a hypnotherapist watching this, you'll be amazed at the resources that she has, including hypnosis training, continuing education courses, and so much more. But today she's going to talk to us about the spiritual, astrological, and other fun stuff that can be incorporated with the hypnosis. And now I'd like to introduce you to Katherine Zimmerman. Katherine.
Hi, Denise. Thanks so much for having me. I'm always happy to talk about hypnosis and everything that goes along with it. The newest thing that I want your audience to know that's been working extraordinarily well, I have combined in a whole new way, and I'll back up and explain that in a moment, a whole new way, how using astrology and numerology with my hypnotherapy clients. Now, I started studying astrology just for fun as a hobby, probably in my late 20s. And at the time, I read a book, a sun sign book by Susan Goodman or Linda Goodman. That was it, Linda Goodman's Sun Sign, which was quite popular in the day. And when I read the book, I'm not sure what prompted me, honestly, because when I read the book, I was pretty skeptical until I got to the chapter on my sun sign. And then I looked at her picture and her bio. I thought, has she met me? How does she know me that well if we haven't met and been friends for a period of time? Talk about puzzling. But it started me thinking, all right, maybe there's more to this than I've been giving it credit for. So fast forward, and I start going to hypnotherapy school. And at that point, I had been using astrology in my own personal life for off and on here and there, just reading the horoscope and learning a bit and a piece. And I'm in class, I met a woman who became my astrologer. She'd already been a professional astrologer. Now she's studying hypnotherapy. I remember taking one look in her eyes and I thought, oh, there's my new friend. And I know we've all done that. You've done that, right, Denise? You've seen somebody that is just instant.
Yes, I think that's why you and I are still here after all these years together.
Exactly. My grandmother used to say, the eyes are the windows to your soul. So when we make that contact, I made that contact with Martha. So I started using the astrology and reading more books that she recommended, started using their sun and moon sign with my clients, just as a way of becoming better acquainted with them, having a better sense of what direction they might need to go in and how to work with them more effectively. Same with the numerology. Martha had recommended a book on numerology that I really liked. So I would, as long as I have their date of birth, I can do their life path. So I would use their life path, which tells me what they're here for spiritually, what lessons did they come to work through to get to where they want to be next as a soul. So I was using for many years astrology and numerology. Bits and pieces. Some of my clients, I would say, well, you know, astrology is my hobby. So let's just take a moment and talk about the aspects in your chart. And I would talk a little bit about their sun. And I'd say, do you know your moon sign? And most people say, I don't. And then I would say, I love to have fun. As you know, Denise, I would say to them, well, you're about to. And I would pull out my moon sign book and look it up. And I'd read the key words which describes their emotional life, the keywords to their moon sign. And they would say, oh, that's me. Now we have rapport. For the clients that I just have an intuitive sense that are not going to be comfortable with the astrology, it's a little too out there for them, I just don't say anything. Once I've started the induction and their eyes are closed, I would just reach into my cupboard, look up. I already have their date of birth. I can look up their moon sign while they're in the office, while they're going into hypnosis. Now, I need that information certainly more than they do. So I did that for years, probably, well, I've been doing this 35 years. So I would say most of these years I have been including both of those aspects, and it builds rapport, and I get extremely good results with people because we're not doing that phase of getting to know you. I know some things about you I wouldn't know otherwise. Very helpful things. Moon sign in particular is helpful because it's our emotional life. It's how we respond to things emotionally. Subconscious is where all of our emotions are stored. Don't we want to know what's in there? We do. So fast forward a bit to more recently, two of my colleagues within a week or two of each other said, well, how exactly do you use astrology and numerology when you're working with clients? And I gave them both just this surface view. Well, I just read about it, and then I apply those keywords to them, and there you go. I'm a big fan of that. That ought to do it. Even though I've been doing it and developing my methods for 35 years, I didn't know what else to tell them. And neither of them said that was enough. They're both, yeah, that's not going to do it. And I know you and I both know how the universe works. I've now had two people prompting me to do more with astrology and numerology and teach it to other hypnotherapists. So I thought to myself, do I want to wait for the universe to send me a third nudge? Because I know it's coming. Or do I want to just go ahead and do some research and put together a course and teach it? So, of course, both of these ladies that had encouraged me and wanted to know my secrets signed up immediately for the course. They're excited. They're telling their students, they're both instructors, hypnotherapy instructors. They told their students so they could sign up. And I thought, well, it might be a limited number of people that are interested in this. But this isn't 1989. Because in 1989, what I heard on a regular basis from new clients, they give me the laundry list of everything they've done to accomplish their goal. And then they'd say, well, I say, well, how effective was that? Well, they still have it. Yeah. None of those other 9 to 12 things worked. And then they would say those magic words that I'm expecting. And now I am so desperate. I'm even willing to be hypnotized. They just want me to know the level of their desperation. I don't hear that anymore. I don't. I haven't had a client tell me they were that desperate that they would use hypnosis in, I don't even know how many years. So things are shifting, which is excellent, because we don't need 5 years of talk therapy. And then we at that point, we can intellectualize and understand why we feel the way we do, but we still feel that way in a lot of cases. And in hypnotherapy, that's not going to happen. In 5 or 6 sessions, you can be where you want to be and have that goal a non-issue. If you're putting in astrology, you're going to understand yourself at a much deeper level. And from the facilitator's viewpoint, I have their sun and moon, I have the life path. Here's what came out of the class. I'm just teaching it and thinking, all right, I'm going to give them the basics and let's look at 3 signs per week. We met 6 weeks. We give them 3 signs a week we'd work on, working all the way through the zodiac. So we started with Aries and then Taurus and Gemini. Next week we go on to the next 3. But I started thinking, what would happen if I wrote an induction based on this person's sun and moon qualities? So I did that. Oh my goodness. The only 2 words that I always want to say about this, it's a game changer. And the feedback I'm getting from the students, and I had 14 students in that class. That's a great, great size class.
Wow,
The only
that's
feedback
great.
I'm getting that they're getting from their clients as they use these techniques, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel completely understood and accepted.
Wow. It's because it's so much more, like you said, it's more deeply into their psyche and into their heart, into their soul, into looking inside of who they are so they can understand it at a better level.
Yes. And in fact, I haven't done this for a while, but when I had my physical office, these days so many of us work on Zoom, but when I had the physical office and I had my numerology book and I would have done their life path before they come in, I would ask clients when they called a book, I need your phone number, your email address, your date of birth. Not one person ever said date of birth. They just rattled it off. So by the time they came in, I had already read the chapter on their life path. So I would take the book. These are clients that I feel are going to be open, and I would open it to their life path, and I would let my intuition guide me. And I would read a sentence or 2 here, and then I drop down and, oh, that one seems to be glowing. I'd read that one, and maybe on the next page, just to give them a little flavor of what's going on. And almost every one of them would say something in the vein of, you must be psychic. How do you know that? Never admit to being psychic. So I would turn the book around and I'd say, oh, no, it's in the book. It's in the book. Because I don't do psychic readings. That's just not my thing. But did my intuition guide me to read this sentence over that one? Absolutely. And again, now there was somebody that gets them. We want to be understood. Human beings want someone to understand them at a little deeper level.
Yeah, and I guess it's hard too. I know when I've dealt with clients and they know something's wrong, but they don't know how to vocalize it, or
Mm-hmm.
they're not sure where it's coming from, and they've got 1,000 ideas. So we help to hone in on this
Yes,
is where you are right now in the planets, and they go, "Wow, yeah, that feels right." So
yeah,
we're helping them to, we help them help us back and forth.
exactly. So we've got this beautiful exchange. I have an understanding of what they're struggling with. Oh, finally, somebody gets what I'm saying when I say, but this is so hard. I'll give you an example. I can listen to a client tell me their story and what they're here to work on. And I have 2.5 pages of questions I ask my clients in my getting acquainted phase in that initial interview. So they're talking about the main reason they're there. And they're going on and on. Now, the next question, after they tell me in depth about the issue they want to work on, the next question I ask is, how long has this been an issue? Because I'm hearing what I'm hearing and hearing in their emotion, in their words, and everything that they're conveying. What I'm hearing is, oh my goodness, this was so hard. And it just happened like last week. So when I say, how long ago was this? And they say 30 years, that's Moon in Cancer. I have never once been wrong. Because while they're going into hypnosis, I pull out my moon sign book and look it up. Of course, they're Moon in Cancer, because one of Moon in Cancer traits, they
Wow.
can't let go.
Oh my gosh,
Now,
interesting.
as the facilitator, I know this client isn't going to be one, well, nobody's one and done. This client is going to take some extra time, an extra gentle approach, just a little more hand holding than a client, let's say, with Moon in Gemini. Oh, yeah, I'm over that. Moon in Gemini is not going to hang on to it. Moon in Sag isn't going to hang on to it. Mm-mm. But Moon in Cancer, it gives me an invaluable piece of information about how to approach working with that client.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
It
And
really is.
and then clients, as you tell them that you're finding this in the books, or it's from there, are they wanting to find more, go deeper with that? Like you were saying, like
Sometimes,
with the progression.
not so much with that, not with, because I've just started doing progressions. That's a new thing I'm adding in, uh, because about at 29 and a half, we go through our first Saturn return, and that's about the same time our progressed sun moves into the next sign. So let's say I started out life, my natal sun is Virgo. So around 30, my natal sun would progress into Libra. Now I'm going to take on some Libra traits. Then after 60, my natal sun progresses into the next sign, Scorpio. So now I'm wanting to do more research because I've progressed into that sign. And it's not as if the other influences aren't still there. They are. But now here's the analogy that I came up with that I think is really helpful. So when we're born, we are chicken stock. That's it. Chicken stock. Chicken broth. Nothing in there but chicken broth. No salt, no pepper, chicken broth. And as we go through life and have experiences, and we progress astrologically, and we progress with life experience, but mostly it's the astrology chart, we start adding some salt, and we put a little pepper, and then we get a little more mature, and we put in, oh, you know what, noodles sound good. Let me just put some noodles in there. And so the noodles are in there now. And then maybe around 35, 40, well, I think I want to spice it up a bit. So I'm going to put in a touch of garlic and maybe some of those bay leaves. That'll give a little thing. And we get around 60 and we start saying, yeah, there's something missing here. Let's put in some celery. Now I could fish that celery back out once it's cooked, but the flavor stays. So we are an evolved chicken soup. As we mature, we become a much more flavorful, much more evolved chicken soup. Does that make sense?
I like that. I like that.
But we haven't taken anything back out. In fact, those spices have dissolved into the chicken broth. We can't get them back out.
Hmm.
So we add on. That's why I think we become more interesting as we become more mature. Makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And every single one of those additional things or spices that we have added in, like I said, make us much more colorful.
Exactly.
Much
It's
more
all
interesting.
much more interesting. So it's not just the sun that progresses, all of our planets progress. It's most important to look at the personal planets, but I have one planet that's progressed into, I think, into Sag. My other planets, I think I have 4 personal planets progressed into Scorpio. I'll be doing a lot of research. Scorpio likes to research. Hence, I just bought 5 astrology books to study.
Oh gosh. That'll keep you busy.
It will keep me busy. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But because I'm still a Virgo, and so I still have my Virgo traits and wanting to keep things neat and tidy and be organized and be my little Girl Scout self. But there's a piece of me that says, ooh, look at that. Let me read about that take on astrology. And these books were all recommended by my astrologer. So I'm not just randomly buying books that may or may not be helpful. So as I go through this, I'm going to study myself to another level. So I understand myself, and that's where it starts. Everything starts, in my view, as hypnotherapists, just as creatures on this planet, with self-understanding. I don't know of a better way, honestly, to understand ourselves than with something like astrology or numerology. There's a process out there, a protocol called human design, which is also fascinating, but I've never delved into it deeply. Fascinating stuff. But because I've been doing astrology since my late 20s, I'm going to stick with that because I already have this whole framework for it. But it is about understanding ourselves, and then we can relay that and how I've learned about myself to our clients. And let me help you understand yourself and why you respond. And I know when Martha used to talk about people doing people's charts, they would ask her, "Oh, well, I have that, I have that. Is that good or bad?" Well, there's no good or bad. It's just what is.
Mm-hmm.
I like the influence I have from my natal chart. Libra rising. Libra rising is charming. Who doesn't want to have Libra in there? Moon in Sag. You've got Sag, and you've got your sun right there in Sag. Sagittarius are the most fun people on the planet.
I'll have to agree.
Yeah. For
At
those of
least I'm
you,
enjoying it being a Sag.
oh, it's not to enjoy, honestly. With Moon in Sag, I can always find two things. Sagittarius are very optimistic, and we like to have fun. So we can find the silver lining. Now, the downside to Moon and Sag with the work that I do, I want to show my clients the silver lining before they're ready. Because I can see for them where they're going to end up. But if I tell them too soon, because I want to hold space for them to move into that place. But if I tell them too soon before we've done enough of the work that they get where I'm going with that, they feel like I've discounted their issue. Because they've had this issue when they come to see us. Typically, they've had this issue for a while. My typical client back in the early 90s were women over the age of 50. And they were sick and tired of feeling the way they did. So now they're desperate. Here comes hypnosis.
Wow. And compared to now, where people are, where am I going, especially in these times? I mean, it used to be that we would question, what am I doing with my life? What's my service? What am I here for? And now do you see more people just, wanting to know at all different ages, like what's
Mhm.
going on because the whole planet underneath us is being shaking and moving a lot. And it's really knocking us around. So I think that people are questioning more than ever, how do I handle this? Where's this coming from? And what do I do with it? Right.
Exactly. And really, you're right on with the all ages. I have a hypnotherapy group right now. Interesting group, just 4 people. I like the smaller classes. So I have a young woman who's 23. She was born here, but her parents are from India. She's been raised in that culture, and she's only 23. She's gotten a college degree, and then found that what she studied in college doesn't make her heart sing. It isn't satisfying. Then I've got a young woman who's 30. She's been here 7 or 8 years. She's from Siberia. There's a woman who is Polish, as in lives in Poland. She's 9 hours ahead of us. So it's 7 o'clock at night for her. She's also a naturopath in her mid-50s. Then I've got Doug. Doug is on the East Coast, retired, lovely man, and me. And so we've got 2 Americans and 3. So the cultural difference, we've got West Coast and East Coast. We have the best discussions. And the fact that a 23-year-old is taking hypnotherapy, that means we need her. We need her because she understands her age group. We need her because we need people who have all this road in front of them. The road in front of me at this point, being a grandmother, and I hate to say it, great-grandmother, my road going forward is shorter. She's 23. Her road stretches way out into the future. And we can't have too many people doing hypnotherapy and helping other people get to where they want to be. So I couldn't be happier. I've had other young people in the course over the years, but not the cultural mix that I've got now. And that's been absolutely fascinating. And it's actually a little bit of a struggle to teach them the standard hypnotherapy program that I'm teaching, because in my mind, I want to say, oh, but you know what? I taught you how to use that induction based on astrology. But if I'm not going to deviate from, I'm not going to rewrite all my course materials. But starting at the end of June, there will be a class. They'll be done beginning in June. Then I'll start the level 3 classes. And the first level 3 class will be using astrology to create your processes, to write your inductions, to write your re-alerts, your deepeners. I just wrote one for a client I have coming in next week. And I used, because she's older, I used her progress astrology chart. And I not only put in to, I think I did, yeah, I used her progress moon and sun and moon and printed it out. And I thought, and I've known her for a long time, it couldn't be geared to her personally any better. And I could feel it resonate. Knowing her, I could feel how it was going to resonate with her when she comes for her appointment.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I mean that's so key. I mean, I find it even just with even in conversations, as most people could relate to. Having a conversation, I just mentioned recently, having a conversation with my dad and telling him straight on, straight ahead what he wants to hear because that's who he is. But when it comes from me, he doesn't hear. But if I tell it in a story, which he loves story and he is a storyteller, the story will reach him better than giving it to him straight on.
Yes.
And he still gets to hear the truth and he still gets to hear, and then he gets to decide on what he's taken in. So this is the same type of thing that you're doing, only with hypnosis, where you're getting into that deep state where we're able to get to the subconscious mind and get down into the soul and say, let's see what's there, what needs help, and what we can fix.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm just beyond excited at this addition to, because what we were doing before I added in the astrology piece, the numerology, was extremely effective. I've seen people's lives change to where this one young woman reached out to me a couple of years after we'd worked together, and she said, "You probably don't remember me or recognize me." She said, "After the work we did," she said, "I changed my name legally, changed my name, changed my hair, changed
Wow.
how I dressed, changed my career." She was just ticking off. If there was something she could change about herself, she did. She was deliriously happy now with all the change. And that was a few sessions of hypnotherapy.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's what the other thing a lot of people don't realize. They think therapy is going to go on forever. Not with hypnosis.
Mm-mm. No, that's, oh my goodness. Yeah, because when clients come in and say to me, "Well, I've been dealing with this, and I'm it's been part of me for my whole life." And they get to, after a few sessions, they get to, "Well, how are you doing with X?" Oh, I had a lady say to me one year, I can't remember where she came in initially, but we worked on, as part of the sessions we did, we worked on her high blood pressure. So she came in for a session after we had done the protocol for her blood pressure. And I said, "Oh, by the way, how's your blood pressure?" "Oh," she said, "I don't have blood pressure issues." She forgot. She forgot she'd had blood pressure problems. It was a
Wow,
non-issue.
that's great. That's really great. And the things that you can let go of and you can really completely let go of,
Yeah,
it's
no longer in your
amazing.
consciousness. And everybody responds in their own way to hypnosis. Some are natural somnambulists. I think the client I have on Tuesday really is. And not everybody is, but in 35 years, have I had anybody not go into hypnosis? I think twice. And one of them was a teenager. And when I said to her, "Well, tell me why you're here today," she said, "Well, it's the stupidest thing my mom's ever signed me up for." Okay, then. so, so asked me if she cooperated. Well, that would be, gosh, no, no cooperation. But when she got all done, she must have been, I don't know, 13 or 14. When she was finished and I'd re-alerted her, her color was better. Her shoulders had dropped. She was relaxed, smiling more. And I thought, oh, And you can go ahead and say you didn't go into hypnosis, but I can see you did.
Yeah, that's the surprise too. I know. I think we've always had one. I had one gentleman that was former military. I believe he was Marines, and said, "Okay, I can be hypnotized now. Technically, my time has passed, that I'm allowed to do this, and go ahead and try just for the heck of it. But I know you're not going to get anywhere." And I literally almost had to shake him and go, "It's really time to wake up now. You really got to come out of this now, okay?" And he's like, "I can't believe it." But he was waiting for this time without subconsciously, without knowing that, where he could just relax and release and let go. It's such a freeing feeling. And that's what people don't know or may not know about hypnosis, how freeing it feels when you get into that state. It's like nothing you've ever experienced before, right?
And yet they have experienced. So it's good news, bad news. I tell clients it's good news, bad news. You've been in a state of hypnosis twice a day, every day for your whole life. You pass through hypnosis to get into sleep. You come out of that same state when you wake up. So that's the good news. You've already been there. The bad news is you've already been there. Well, that was relaxing. I felt like I could take a nap. That's it. That's hypnosis. Well, that couldn't be it. No, that's it. That's it. That's But what happens over the years of working with clients? I think I used to wonder what if I did the what ifs. But at some point, I realized it because it's a natural state. Why wouldn't you go into hypnosis? Of course you will. And the more confident I become, the easier it is for clients to allow themselves. Because sometimes, the drill, Denise, they'll say, "Oh, I was trying to do what you said." Oh, there we go. Trying is lying. You either do it or you don't. It's not a trying and it's not a doing. It's a letting go. It's an allowing. And as human beings, we're really human doings. And so I want to do it. I want to make myself, no, that's not going to ever work. Just relax into it. Because why not? I had a lady say to me one time, way back, probably the 91 or 2, she said, at the end of her session, she said, "I've never been that relaxed." She said, even after a deep tissue massage, this is the most relaxed she had ever been in her life. Yeah. So that's good news. So those are not the clients who say, "Well, that couldn't have been it." Although, no, I take it back. Some of them do still say that, but they lose time. They'll ask me. I love this one. This is my favorite one. They'll hang out of the chair and they'll say, "Well, I don't think I was hypnotized, but I felt like I was doing this." They'll hang out of the chair to show me, and I'll say, "No, no, no, you didn't move a muscle. I'm going to show you again." A distorted sense of reality. That's a sign of hypnosis. I ask them, "How long do you think that was?" "Oh, that was like 10 minutes. No, it was 35. What? They're looking at their watch. Time distortion, sign of hypnosis. I don't know. How many more ways are there to prove to you that was hypnosis? That's the hardest job
Yes.
I have, is proving to people that was hypnosis. And they come back and they say, "I don't know if I was hypnotized." Really? I wrote down the exact words you said last week. Let me read them to you. And tell me about the changes you've done. Oh, well, yeah, yeah, yeah. And they start talking about changes. So you have all those changes, but you weren't hypnotized? Oh, maybe I was. I mean, you just got to go with it. I love listening to people's stories, and I've never in 35 years gotten tired of going through that whole thing at the end about, remember what I said you'd feel? Gave you a list. Did you feel that? Oh, I did. I felt several of those. Okay, that's a sign of hypnosis. I've just never get tired of it, because my job is to educate them about, you did it. Look at what a great job you did. You did it. You allowed yourself to have this, not brand new, but this transformative experience.
Yes. Like you said, it's something we do twice a day, but now we learn how to go in when we need to and how to let it flow.
And what to do while we're there. If we're talking self-hypnosis, I start every day with 30 minutes of really a combination of self-hypnosis and meditation. And sometimes, depending on, not lately, but sometimes I'll trance out in the afternoon for another 20 minutes. I sat down to do that because last week. And then almost an hour later, I went, "Oh, wait, Well, oh no, I was only going to trance out for 20 or 30 minutes, but I did feel much better. So
Gee, is that where the name of your business, Trans Time, came from?
the name of my business came because when I teach self-hypnosis, which I started doing right out of school, I would say to the class after the lecture, I'd say, now it's the best part of the class. It's trance time. So one of my friends said to me, you need to call your website Trance Time. Even though people will say, they'll be writing it down and they'll spell it TRANS. No, hypnotic trance. TRANCE. But my favorite one, I have to tell you, my favorite one is when I was younger and went out dancing. I danced with some, the exchange when you're single and out dancing. And what do you do for a living is typically the question everybody asks everybody else. And I would say, I'm a hypnotherapist. And they'd say, oh, physical therapist. I'd say, no, hypnotherapist. I hypnotize people for a living. These men would say to me, I'd better not look into your eyes, which then allowed me to say, wait for it. Too late. You've been listening to the sound of my voice. I'll send you the bill in the morning.
That's great. That's great.
Oh, I never got tired of that either. It's so fun.
Wow, this is great. Well, I'm so glad that you've come up with this wonderful, wonderful idea of using the astrology and the numerology along with hypnosis so we can get to people in a better space and they can open more easily, and effortlessly because they're feeling comfortable, like you said, like that. Yes, that's me. That's me.
Mhm.
You're describing me. You know me. It is a game changer.
It really is. And in fact, what came out of that class, two things that came out of that class, I ended up writing 2 books. So there's a book now for hypnotherapists, or I was just thinking, anybody who wanted to take a hypnotic script and induction that fit their sun and moon and record it for themselves and then play it, it would take them into hypnosis. It's very empowering to do that kind of thing for yourself. So I wrote that one, and then I wrote Discover the Deeper Path, which is using astrology and numerology combined with spiritual laws. And I'm really thinking these are going to be helpful to my colleagues.
Yeah. And like you said, also the people that they're working with, those that are doing self-hypnosis, for example, and want to know a little, what can I do a little better on my own? Because and ultimately, if we use self-hypnosis on a regular basis, how, like you said, it helps going into trance every day. You just going into that state where there's much better results in the long run for ourselves.
Exactly. Over the years, people have said to me they would come take my self-hypnosis class because they wanted to learn how to get to that core of calmness that apparently I project. And little do they know, I'm pretty tightly wound. But because I do self-hypnosis, I project calmness. And if I'm getting myself wound up, I can remember that calm feeling that lives inside, and I can go back to that. That's the real benefit of doing a regular practice of meditation or self-hypnosis. You can come back to that state.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Well, before we sign off, is there anything else information you'd like to leave everyone with?
You know, I would encourage everyone out there, if they haven't learned self-hypnosis, let me encourage you to learn how to do that. And if you've tried to learn to meditate and it hasn't worked for you, my students tell me that self-hypnosis is much easier than meditation. Think of it as an active meditation and you're accomplishing a goal.
Oh, that sounds good. And like I say, everyone just check at the end of this video and you'll see all of the information on Catherine's website and how you can get a hold of her and look at all the wonderful things she has available on there. I get lost in there sometimes like, oh, how about this? Oh, let's try that. No, let's do this first.
I do like to write, and I apparently have the chart of a natural writer, according to my astrologer. So I'm a little bored. Oh, let me just write something.
And you write very well and you do wonderful, wonderful work.
Thank you.
I'm very thankful for it. So, Catherine, I'd like to thank you so very much for taking the time to be here with us today. I appreciate your information and your insights and your wonderful gifts that you bring to us that we can utilize in our everyday life.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me.
so very much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. I'm glad you could spend a little time with us and learn some information that could help move you forward in the best light possible. So, again, I am Denise Ortiz of mindbodyhealing.biz. Thanks so much for joining us and have a wonderful day.